Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Necro and today we'll be doing a legendary hero review. Many of you have asked me to give advice on your lineup, so hopefully this guide will give you an insight on how to decide on which heroes to use. First off, we're going to start with Sakaras here, in no particular order. Sakaras is one of the more accessible heroes to get. I think he's a very strong hero, but you can only get him from the VIP store. But this does mean that he is not an RNG hero. You will get the guaranteed amount of shards from the VIP, which is very good. He has a couple of good buffs, so he mostly focuses on buffing up your Vanguard units. So you'll increase their HP by a substantial amount, and their attack damage by a rather large amount. I think this is a very, very good attack buff. Vanguards have the amazing ability of being able to attack twice before Predators or Whirlwinds attack, so this makes this unit very, very strong. He also increases all attacker attack increase by 12.8% when a point is chapter champion at level 7. So although it starts off as a very small buff, when you get this guy up to one of the higher levels, this guy does a huge amount of damage. Very, very strong, very, very useful. And then this is all of your units as well. And he only has to be appointed, so you don't even have to send him out to get this buff, which is very good. Just merely have to appoint him. I've kind of been focusing on putting a lot of gear and a lot of XP into this guy just because of his gear, his star level. Very, very strong. So next up, we're going to move to Irensia. Now, this is a pretty cool hero. She came out, I think, in the last month. I think it was last month this unit came out. It has some really nice buffs. All troops defense. It's very, very nice. Although the numbers aren't particularly great, just increasing all units is absolutely brilliant. Love this unit. She also increases all troops HP as well. And this is a really cool ability because this works on your Dreadnoughts, which both the defense and the HP all work on Dreadnoughts, and we love buffing up our Dreadnoughts. She also increases marching speed, which has its uses, especially for events such as Fort Obsidian and the Chaos Fortresses, which, as you know, basically the first person to get there gets there, holds it, and wins. So yeah, this is a very, very nice hero. She's kind of easy to farm. I've been really lacking on farming her up. Because I'm pretty lazy with the intel. Next up, we have Corsaro, Master of the Hunt. Quite possibly one of my favourite units in the game. I think this unit is awesome. It's really cool. Again, he's only available from VIP store. I haven't unlocked high enough VIP to get him any higher. But he increases the marching speed by a very good number. This is quite a good buff. He also increases attacker attack, which is really nice. It's quite a high percentage as well. So once I get this guy a little bit higher, hopefully I can unlock VIP and kind of get him up to a high number. This guy's going to really start to do some damage. He also increases all attacker attack HP as well, which is very, very nice. Again, so this guy is going to work very well whilst attacking. Obviously not a defensive hero, but I wouldn't expect that from a White Scars unit. Next up we have Shrek, which is most people's favourite. Everyone seems to absolutely love this guy. I can see why. He has some nice buffs. He increases Vanguard Veteran HP and the defense, which to me I don't think are particularly good abilities. Anything that buffs up individual units is fine. Like it's good, especially on a legendary hero. You know, you're gonna have these big numbers here, but your Vanguard Veterans are literally just there to attack Dreadnoughts. Right? As soon as your Dreadnoughts die, your Vanguards will die. It doesn't really matter how much you buff their attack, their HP and their defense. They're just going to melt as soon as your Dreadnoughts die. So I'd rather focus on what Vanguards are good at, which is killing Dreadnoughts. So I'd like to buff their attack, which is why I like Sakaras so much because of this attack buff. But anyway, going back to Shrike. His last ability is kind of his redeeming feature. Attack increased by X amount. Very, very good. Same as Corsaro. Very, very strong. Very, very strong. And his shards are also available from the Beyond the Breach event, the Shrike Wheel, which came out recently, and you can also get him from the Deep Rescue. So his shards aren't that difficult to acquire. So eventually, you know, we're going to start to see some high-level Shrikes. This guy, yeah, he's absolutely broken. This guy is insanely powerful. He buffs Dreadnoughts HP and defense, which is probably the two most important features of your Dreadnoughts. You want them to live longer. You want them to be that impenetrable wall that holds your fortresses, defends your army, and keeps all your boys safe. So increasing both the HP and defense is very, very strong. plus all units attack increased. This is awesome. So it doesn't matter if he's defending or attacking, he is an absolute unit. The major downside to this guy is his shards are almost impossible to get. They drop from the Deep Rescue, but I believe that there is an issue with his drop rate. It's been noted by many people. A lot of people have done large amounts of pulls and recorded the drops that they've had on Calgar, and his number is significantly lower than it should be. So I'm guessing there's some sort of background problem to his drop rate. Kind of hoping the devs will take a look into that, get that fixed soon. I am one legendary tech fragment away from getting him up as well, or just one Calgar fragment, so I really hope I get a drop on him soon. Next up we have Talon, the legendary instructor. This guy is okay. He's a very meh legendary hero. He buffs Primaris attack, which is actually quite nice because Primaris, like Vanguards, they get to attack twice before any other unit does. And they can do a lot of damage, so this ability is actually pretty good. But unfortunately, same as the Vanguards, you don't really want to be buffing their HP. It doesn't really give you anything, because once your Dreadnoughts die and your opponent's ranged units are attacking your ranged units, these guys are just going to die. It doesn't matter how much we buff their HP by, they're just going to die. Now, training speed increased when appointed as Master Requisitor. This is quite cool. And again, only really useful and noticeable at higher levels. And because he only drops from Deep Rescue, we're probably not going to see him at a high level for too long. Overall, not a great unit, but you know, if you can get him up, that's great. He will see some use when Primaris get a bit of a buff, and if you're just trying to buff their damage, then he can be pretty good. Cronus, this was a cool unit. He's a free one that everyone will get when they start the game, which is quite nice, and everyone loves the Predator. One of the best tanks in the game. So, increases Predator attack, which is nice. Predators deal out a lot of damage. It also increases their HP, which, again, not great, but, you know, we'll take it. He has another buff as well when appointed as a Master Requisitor, which is the research speed, which, to be honest, isn't even worth looking at. It gives you a nice little bonus, but you're not overly concerned with these numbers here. I mean, you'll appoint him because it's free. But overall, I'd say he's a B tier unit. He was quite accessible because his shards were available in the Intel event, but since they removed him from there and added Irensia, Cronus has kind of fallen off in my opinion. Same as Talon, not that great. His hero combo is probably the only redeeming feature of this guy, because with Calgar and Agatone, who isn't released yet, all units HP increased by 10%. Calgar's busted, and Agatone's actually better than Calgar in my opinion. I've seen his stats before they were removed from the game, and when he's released it's the same as it was when we could see that, I think Agatone is going to be absolutely busted. I think he'll be brilliant. So these three together are actually going to be a real nice combo if we can get some more shards for Cronus. And lastly, we have Kantor. Very, very cool unit. I'm a big fan of this guy, but unfortunately some of his abilities are rather lacking. Increases Primaris Squad HP, which is quite nice. Primaris Squad defense, not great. But this is his redeeming feature. So when he's appointed as the Reclusiarch, Defender HP is increased. This is very, very cool. So all you have to do is appoint him, and you're going to get a flat Defender HP buff whenever you defend against an attack. Very nice. His shards, they're actually pretty accessible from the Deep Rescue. I seem to get a lot of him. And you can also buy the daily packs that give you Kantor shards guaranteed. Because that's not RNG, I'd say that's probably one of the better things if you wanted to spend money on. But yeah, overall, not an overly impressive unit. Wouldn't really try and put any money into him, especially if you're planning on spending any money. The VIP packs are some of the best ways to get some strong heroes. You get Sakaras and Corsaro fragments, depending on what tier you're at, which is quite nice. You get a lot of fragments, which is good. And when you get to higher levels, you get even more fragments. And I think at the last level, which is really nice if you ever get there, it's the legendary utility tech fragment 200. If I ever got that, I'd be dumping them straight into Calgar, because he is an absolute beast. But that's it for today. Thank you all for watching, and tune in next time for a video on epic and rare heroes. Please don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe.